From the mountains to the shoreline, from the cities to the plains, we've all walked a different highway, we've all danced through joy and pain. Different stories, different colors, different dreams beneath the stars. But when freedom calls tomorrow, we remember who we are. We may not always see eye to eye, but we can still stand side by side. One flag, many hearts, many roads, one place to start. Hand in hand, we'll do our part. One nation made of many hearts. Lift your voice, let kindness lead. Love is stronger than division. See, for 250 years we've come this far. One flag, many hearts. Every generation's journey left a footprint in the sand, built a bridge for those who follow with hopeful dreams and working hands. We can disagree with honor, we can listen, we can learn, and together light a future like a torch that brightly burns. The red and white, the stars and blue belong to me and belong to you. One flag, many hearts, many roads, one place to start. Hand in hand, we'll do our part. One nation made of many hearts. Lift your voice, let kindness lead. Love is stronger than division. See, for 250 years we've come this far. One flag, many hearts. Let the church bells ring, let the children sing, let the old dreams live again. From sea to shining sea, may we always be neighbors first and friends. One flag, many hearts, many voices making harmony. Different notes, but one great song. That's what makes America strong. For 250 years and many more to come, we'll stand together as one. One flag, many hearts, one America, one home. Happy birthday, America, 250 years strong.
Well, good day, beautiful people, and welcome to my podcast, Life Treasures and Golden Moments. This is Natalie Silva, where I share with you two stories of miracles and stories of inspiration. I bet you're a little taken back today with the beginning song, and I wanted to share that song with you today in honor of our 250th birthday here in America. And that song, I want to say, give a special thanks to Julie Amon with Millie Rose for the beautiful new song and her tribute to our America's 250th birthday. One flag and many hearts. I hope you enjoyed that. Today I want to share some stories with you about America and the people that live in it and things that have happened to them in honor of our birthday. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in our bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same as we did in our past. And that was said by President Ronald Reagan, and how true it is. The first story I'd like to share with you today was authored by Eva Carter, and it's called To My Sister Whom I've Never Met. It's a reminder of all the wonderful things that we have in this country of ours, and we take them for granted lots of times. And this is especially about the women in our country. I think you will enjoy it, and it'll be a reminder of how blessed we are to live in America. to my sister whom I never met. I am an American woman. Thoughts have often turned to you, my sister of the world, my sister whom I've never met. I'm so blessed to be living in a land where freedom prevails for males and females. Yes, you, living somewhere else in the universe, do not share the same advantages. Sometimes I wonder why I am so lucky. I'm no more and no less than you, my sister whom I've never met. But sometimes I have to remind myself not to take my good fortune for granted. That's when I think of you. Last Sunday, I kneeled in church with my hands clasped in a prayer. Then I rose and without fear, I sang a hymn out loud. This fundamental privilege is denied to you, my sister whom I've never met. Your belief in a higher power, if you have one, must be concealed in your soul under the threat of persecution or worse. In my grateful heart, I pray to God that you might know the same right to religious worship of your choice as I enjoy in my great country of America. It is not fair, I used to grumble as I walked to school, noticing other classmates riding in the cars of their parents. Why should I walk when others ride? My attitude was quickly adjusted when I thought of you, my sister whom I've never met. Would you gladly walk for blocks, no matter where or what the conditions? If you could just go to school, or is education prohibited to you because you are a girl? When I woke up on the morning of my 29th birthday, a question briefly crossed my mind. Am I an old maid? I shook it off as I showered in my warm water, got dressed, locked the door to my own apartment, and went to a job that I loved. I thought of you, my sister whom I've never met. Must you, as a single woman, live with your parents in their home regardless of how old you are? Is it permitted for you to live alone? If a marriage has not been arranged for you by a certain age, does your culture consider you an old maid? Are your parents disappointed? Does it make you feel like a worthless burden? After work, my girlfriends invited me to go to a bistro to celebrate my special birthday. We chatted and laughed, sipping wine. Could you ever experience the simple pleasure of stepping out of your home without having to be escorted by a male relative? Are you allowed to enjoy carefree moments in a public place with female friends? Could you even have a glass of wine? When male friends joined our cheerful group, I thought of you again and again when I kissed a boy goodnight. Would that be forbidden to you? American women have the right to freedom. They may go where they please, may congregate with friends, regardless of their gender, for the delight of a friendship. I thought of you on my wedding day, as I stood next to the man that I loved, a man I had chosen. No one had chosen him for me. We had previously discussed the number of children we might have. Would we want boys or girls or both? Nothing was certain, but it was not forbidden to have more than one, and he was considerate of my wishes. Were you happy on your wedding day? Were you filled with tenderness and affection when you stole a glance at your husband-to-be under that beautiful wedding veil? As I was, as I gazed at mine. Did you love him? Did you even know him? Or were you filled with fear and dread? Were you limited to the number of babies you could produce? Did they have to be only boys? If you gave birth to a girl, would you be able to keep her? To make such a decision would certainly be unbearable to me. I thought of you when I went to vote. The line extended into the rainy street. The wait was long and I was irked until my thoughts turned to you, my sister whom I have never met. Would you have dismissed such petty inconveniences as the lines in the rain if you were allowed to vote for a candidate of your choice? Or can't you vote at all because you are a woman? I thought of you last night when I ordered a meal and my hamburger was overcooked. The bun was dry. The latte was weak. I was about to complain when an inner voice stopped me. The latte, weak, well, la-di-da. How entitled can you be, I wondered, if you had anything at all to eat last night? I grieved for you when I read the papers and watched the news reporting about the girls abducted into slavery or worse. I prayed your parents never had to deal with such anguish. I hoped you were untouched from such tormenting and suffering. Last night noises awoke me several times, the harmless noises of my snoring husband. Though at first I was annoyed, I resisted the urge to whine. Turn to your side, honey. I gently nudged him. The sounds soon subsided. What keeps you awake at night, my sister, whom I've never met? Is it bombs flying overhead? Is it war? Gunfire, a terror in the streets? I said a silent prayer for you and pulled the covers over my head. Then I counted my blessings and gave thanks that I am an American woman. What a beautiful story and a reminder of all the freedoms we are so blessed to have in our country, and as women too. Thank you, Eva Cotter, for giving us food for thought about the blessings that we have in our lives. In your journey through life, have you ever come across something that changed your way of thinking about something and looking at something in a new way? The next story I want to share with you is called Giving Kids the World, and the author is Pamela Landsworth. It's been said by Anne Frank how wonderful it is that nobody needs to wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. And that she did, ladies and gentlemen. The call came that changed my life was all about tennis. A friend needed a fourth for a game at Bay Hill Country Club near Orlando, Florida, and she invited me to join her. I was exhausted. I just returned home from a month-long assignment in Paris for the Walt Disney Company, but my friend was in a bind and she needed someone to step in for the tennis game. So when she assured me she wasn't trying to set me up, I agreed to play. It turned out to be one of the most important decisions I had ever made. Now I should tell you that I firmly believe that if you keep an open heart and an open mind, everything happens for a reason. I believe that too. And it's clear to me today that each step I had taken up to this point in my life was preparing me for the journey I was destined to make. You see, on that warm summer morning, I met a force of nature named Henry Landworth. During the match, Henry teased me. He taunted me. He could be frustrating, but he couldn't be ignored. When the game was over, I was intrigued, but not entirely sure what to think of him. The next day, Henry, a Central Florida hoteler, called me. Soon we were meeting for lunch and coffee and etc. Within a year, we were married. By the time we'd met, Henry had lived an incredible life. He had grown up in Belgium with his parents and a twin sister, Margot. He had a happy childhood, but it was cut short by the horrors of the Holocaust. When the Nazis came to power, Henry and his family, who were Jewish, were rounded up by soldiers. His father was killed almost instantly and immediately, and the rest of the family were taken to concentration camps. Henry spent his teen years there, separated from his mother and his sister. And when the war was finally ended, Henry learned his mother had been killed. Miraculously, his sister survived, and Henry found her living in Poland. Hearing his stories was overwhelming to me. I'd been a history major in college, and though I knew about World War II, but the facts and figures were dry and clinical and couldn't compare to Henry's vivid first-hand accounts. The atrocities became real and dehumanizing as the prisoner ID B3434 tattooed on Henry's forearm. I was dumbfounded by Henry's life story, but what impressed me most was how he responded to the experience. He would never forget the brutality he saw, but he would not let it defeat him. After the war, Henry made his way to America with virtually nothing, and after serving in the Army, became a successful businessman. He ran and later owned a collection of hotels in and around Central Florida. Through his industry connections, he met and forged friendships with people like Senator John Glenn, Art Buchwald, and Walter Cronkite. By any measure, this smart, hard-working Belgian immigrant epitomized the American dream. But for Henry, financial success meant little if you did not use it to help others. And so at an age when some businessmen owners might have been contemplating retirement, Henry founded a charity to serve children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. It was called Give Kids the World, and its premise was simple. If a child with a life-threatening illness had a wish to visit Central Florida and its world-famous theme parks, Give Kids the World would provide accommodations, meals, local transportation, and just about anything else the family needed. Its goal was to give these families the vacation of a lifetime at no cost at all to them. Henry created Give the Kids the World after hearing the story of a little girl named Amy. She had leukemia and wanted more than anything in the world to meet Mickey Mouse. A wish-granting organization began making plans to send her to one of Henry's hotels. He often hosted the Wish Kids there. But before the arrangements were complete, Amy's time ran out. When Henry learned what happened, he was beside himself. It all seemed so unfair, so unnecessary. So he made a vow to the children with life-threatening illnesses everywhere. Never again would a child's wish go unfulfilled because of scheduling constraints. Never again would time simply run out. Though I never knew her, Henry later wrote, Amy's death became the catalyst for building Give Kids the World. Henry often told me he saw himself in the eyes of children like Amy. He knew what it was like to lose all hope, to see your happiness stolen. From the terror of his own childhood came the empathy to help children facing their own nightmares. After seeing the impact Kids of the World had on families, I knew instantly I wanted to be a part of it. So in 1993, I left the Walt Disney Company to help run Give Kids the World. Working side by side with Henry, our life revolved around the village. I watched in amazement his endless determination and laser focus. We spent every waking moment strategizing and building relationships. Every expense was scrutinized right down to the post-it notes to ensure as many resources as possible could be channeled into services for our guest families. As we worked, the village grew. We added villas and attractions. Thousands of families came to visit each year. Our goal remained the same, to create the happiness that inspires hope. The village and its mission came to define me, and I absorbed everything I could, knowing eventually I would be entrusted with carrying on Henry's legacy. It was a daunting realization, so I asked him one day to dictate to me his vision for the future. It would be my roadmap, my North Star. The map turned out to be several pages long, but it boiled down to two things: never turn a child away, and always do what is best for the children. If we uphold these principles, we will never stray off course. I have tried to live by those words every day since becoming the CEO and president of Give Kids the World in 1995. With the help of countless donors and corporate partners, we have now served more than 144,000 families from all 50 states and 75 countries. Henry stepped back from the day-to-day operations several years ago, but he remains intensely committed to and passionate about GKTW's mission. In many ways, the success of the village is uniquely American. It's a uniquely American story because it was founded by an immigrant, built with hard work, and based on the proposition that there is no higher calling than serving others. I wake up every day grateful to be a part of it, and astonished by how a simple game of tennis shaped my life. If you're open to what life presents, if you fasten your seatbelt and go along for the ride, you'll never know where you end up. For me, I found what I was put on this earth to do. Thank you, Pam Landworth, for that lovely story. This next story is called An American Hometown, and it was authored by Susan Kimmel Wright. This is a story about this gal's hometown, and I know when I read the story to you, you'll remember about her hometown and the name of it. It'll become familiar with you. In western Pennsylvania, September 11, 2001, dawn blue and gold, my Shanksville Stone Creek High School colors. I called Mom that morning. She still lived in the house where I had grown up. I'd been planning a visit, but was overwhelmed with work. I think I better wait till Thursday if that works for you, Mom. We chatted a while, and then I headed to the shower, and Mom went to start on some laundry. I was still in the shower when my phone rang. Oh, Susan, the world is coming to an end. My editor from the local weekly started reeling on about all the facts faster than my brain could absorb them. I snatched as fragments trying to make sense of them. Two planes had hit the World Trade Center and hit the Pentagon. Another came down in Somerset County. My heart jolted. Where in Somerset County? She didn't know. My mom lives in Somerset County. Wait a minute, she quickly checked. Does your mom live anywhere near Indian Lake? The world stopped. About 5 miles away, I later learned that the plane had come down a lot closer than that. My editor had wanted me to start making phone calls for an article about the response of our local school districts to the terrorist attack. But at that point, all I could think of was my mom. I dialed her number with fumbling fingers and got a recording. This call cannot be completed. Why? Had the plane crashed, disintegrated the phone line, or had it destroyed the house with her in it? For the next few hours I dialed and redialed, praying until finally I got her. It turns out that the plane crashed barely a mile and a half from her house. It left a huge crater, black not from coal dust, but from incineration. My cousin called her from work to ask if her house was still there. He was the last call to get through before all the lines went out of the country and they were jammed. For the next several hours, she told me, vehicles streamed past the house on our back country road, rescue vehicles, news units, and military. Growing up, I felt safe in our little town, where everybody knew everybody, and most were related to each other. Just a few houses, a small church, woods and fields. I'd often told my kids, if anything ever happens, we'll head for Grandma's house. We'll be safe there. But now the world and its problems had gotten there ahead of me. Once reassured Mom was safe, I went back to work for the newspaper, making my calls and writing my article. A while later, the phone rang. My 3 kids were in high school, in the office with the principal, and my daughter was crying. The principal had initially refused to let them use the phone, not realizing how very close the crash had been, which contributed to my kids' growing panic. Is Grandma all right? I was so glad I gotten through, Mom, before they called, and I was able to reassure them. I resisted their request to come straight home, and I said I'd see them soon, and then asked to speak to the principal. I still needed quotes from my article. The next 2 days were a national nightmare. The skies were empty, apart from the military aircraft. The enormity of what had happened, the massive hole that had been ripped through all our hearts, was impossible to process. But suddenly we weren't so conscious of our pigeonholes. We weren't so much a certain race, religion, not so much urban, rural, or suburbanite, not wealthy or homeless, liberal or conservative, not Californians, not Yorkers or New Yorkers, Southerners or Midwesterners. We were Americans. Many people, I suspect, woke up for the first time to the realization of how much they loved this country. We loved each other. We crowded into prayer services. We drew together, mourned together, and together pulled the torn pieces of our collective heart back where the gaping hole was. But how had this atrocity changed my hometown? It had always been a good place, with good neighbors who looked out for each other. I wondered if our little town, where everyone knew everyone, could even survive this. Non-stop international news coverage posted updates from New York, Washington, D.C., and Shanksville. Could my father or grandparents, all in their graves for years, at this point ever have imagined something like this would happen? The 3rd day I went to see Mom. When I got off the turnpike in Somerset and turned toward home, even the road seemed weirdly empty, like the skies. The Armory parking lot was full of military vehicles, though it had been turned into a temporary morgue. All along Route 291 and the pull around in front of Freedom's Elementary, flags flew, handmade signs said, "God bless America." Handwritten messages of sympathy for family members cropped up all along the way. In this surreal new world, I felt a rush of warmth and pride. I knew, although everything had changed in an instant, we were still the same here. A strange car sat in my mother's driveway. My sister-in-law, Wendy, in New York City, on business, had been staying at a hotel near the World Trade Center. She had been scheduled to leave on September 11th. With all the planes grounded and car rental companies down, she finally convinced a rental agency employee to handwrite a contract for her so she could get home. She'd taken an overnight break at Mom's on the way home as she headed back for Dayton, Ohio. Wendy offered to ride with me to a news briefing at the site and help gather information. Where I used to catch the school bus, there was now a security checkpoint. I shared my credentials and was passed through. We followed the school bus route for another mile to a field being used as a staging area. Behind the sunflowers booming along the edge of the road, satellite trucks and Red Cross tents sprouted like some kind of alien crop. Sitting behind reporters from CNN, a stone's throw from a farmhouse where I used to babysit, and another where we had 4-H meetings, I felt another disconnect, till I heard the Somerset County coroner, Wallace Miller, speaking, until I heard emergency workers thanking the neighbors for not only accepting the disruption, but offering food and coffee in bathrooms and even leaving their house keys when they went to work. Everything shrank back to human scale again, and I was home. Whatever was taken from us as a nation, and specifically from families and friends who lost loved ones, they hadn't taken our souls. Nothing had given me greater pride in the years since 9/11 than hearing the bereaved family members say that they felt a bond with the people of Somerset County. My heart swelled when I read Red Cross account that said, when the houses carrying family members to and from the crash scene went by, adults and children lined the roads, shoulder to shoulder, hands over hearts, holding American flags and totally silent. We may have been a town where everybody knew everybody, and most of us were related. But when the world came to us at our door, and innocent people were suffering unspeakable loss, they were cared for with all the love of friends and family. That is the spirit of my small town, the true spirit of America. God bless them all, and God bless America, and I wish we could be like that everywhere in this country. We're so divided right now. Hold hands and help each other and love each other. Sometimes we forget what we've all been through. We have to be reminded every now and then that we must stay together as a nation, as people holding hands and helping one another. So thank you again to Susan Kimmel Wright. And finishing up on this story, I'd like to share something that President Obama said in the past. Even the smallest act of service, the simplest act of kindness, is a way to honor those we lost, a way to reclaim the spirit of unity that followed 9/11. Let's all remember that as we go through our each day. My final story of the day is called My First Real 4th of July, and the author is Maureen Rogers. And here's a little quote that someone said. America to me has been the pursuit and catching of happiness. And we should all be happy to be living here, really. Even with all the problems, and every country has problems, but we can work them out and work together. Anyhow, let me start this story for y'all. So, for the first 38 years, I celebrated the 4th of July as an imposter. I watched the fireworks, sang the national anthem, and barbecued with everyone else. Most people had no idea I was faking it. Born and raised in Canada, I moved to the States at the age of 18 when I married an American. For most of my 38 years here, my resident alien status brought the questions from friends. So what are you waiting for? My response usually included twinge of guilt. I lived here and taken advantage of this beautiful nation for longer than some lifetimes, but I contributed as well. I would argue I have a Social Security number and pay taxes. Then my mother died, and my family ties to Canada all but disappeared. So what was I waiting for? The answer came on 9/11/2001, the day everything changed. For the first time, I felt a powerful allegiance to the United States of America an unexpected burst of patriotism. I was ready. I soon discovered that decision was the easy part of naturalization process. Overwhelmed with Form N-400, instructions, government and history lessons, and the long list of documents I would need, I dragged my feet for months. Thanks to the persistence of my husband, who spent hours gathering information, I finally sent in my application and received an interview date. I took this as a reassuring sign. And it was also the anniversary of the day that my mother passed. But as the date approached, I started to get cold feet. I protested the direction the United States was taking towards war, and it seemed Canada and most of the world agreed with me. Even if I followed through with the process, I was too late to have a voice in the upcoming presidential election. Some of my friends were posting different questions. Why now? If I were you, I'd be back to Canada. Was I making a mistake? I could cancel my interview and remain with my green card in limbo, but I knew I would forever regret the missed opportunity. After living here for more than half of my life, leaving my family and friends was out of the question. I finally put emotion aside and proceeded. When I arrived at work that morning of my appointment, I had to choke back tears. My co-workers had decorated my desk with balloons and red, white, and blue streamers. They cheered me on when I left earlier that day. I was nervous as my husband and I took the long drive to the INS building. It was south of town. After all these years, what if I didn't pass? What if I didn't pass the test? Would I be shipped back to Canada? A smiling immigration officer greeted me on time and invited me to sit at his desk across from him. He guided me through 10 simple government and history questions prompted from his computer screen. Minutes later, he congratulated me on a perfect score. An hour later, I took my place in line at the swearing-in ceremony with nearly 200 people from 34 different nations. Since that day, life hasn't really changed much on the outside, but the proud faces of so many new Americans at the ceremony changed me forever inside. I was humbled by the jubilation, the cheers from their families and their friends. These brand new citizens, many dressed in the clothing of their countries of origin, understood what it meant to be part of a country that embodies the freedom. I'd always taken that for granted. That year, my 4th of July celebration wasn't much different. I still ate too much barbecue and stayed up too late watching the sky explode with all the beautiful colors from the fireworks. However, something surprisingly happened a few days later after I became a citizen. I opened the mail and found a summons for jury duty. As a new American citizen, I felt proud and elated. I was able to follow up my first real 4th of July with my very first civic duty, and it was a privilege to serve. So thank you, Maureen Rogers, for that great story and pointing out how much you love our country and being a citizen now, and reminding us how wonderful it is to be a citizen of the United States of America. So, folks, that's it for the day, and I want to wish you all a very happy 250th birthday anniversary of our country. I hope you have a great celebrations this weekend. I think it's on Saturday, I do believe, July 4th. And I hope it's a little bit cooler out there. The weather here has been really warm. It was 93 yesterday, about 95 today. We have some workers here right now at our home, and it's really hot, and I feel sorry for them being out there. So I hope that you all have a good time, and take care of yourselves, and remember how blessed we all are to live in this beautiful country. Thank you for being with me today, and thank you for listening. Until next time, take care and may God bless. This is Natalie Silver with Life Treasures and Golden Moments. Oh, and one more thing before I close, I want to re-thank all the authors today that contributed. It was very nice of them with their beautiful stories and the music today. So again, Ann Carter, thank you. Paula Leavenworth, thank you. Maureen Rogers, and Susan Kimmel Wright, and of course Julie Amon with Millie Rose for the beautiful new song in tribute to America's 250th birthday. One flag and many hearts. Which reminds us all, we do have one flag and we all have many hearts. So use those hearts and those hands to make this world a better place. Thank you again. Until next time, may God bless.
From the mountains to the shoreline, from the cities to the plains, we've all walked